Hello, non existent audience. Welcome to Open Chat. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels. And yes, this is going to be one of those episodes geared on a particular subject, one that unfortunately I'm very well versed in. But before we get into that, of course, we're going to, while we wait for people to come in, to discuss the joys of call center work, all right? All right, so everybody who's ever worked call center retail knows for a fact that January is the absolute month of suck. All right, the worst month of the entire year, bar none, when it comes to sales. But your bosses, because of their bosses, still have to ride you as though it is actually Black Friday. So they ask these burning questions of what is so different between now and the month that was Black Friday? But you got to get those numbers up, or that's always a banger. And it's never ending constant pressure. How individuals like me, who very obviously hate it, get sucked in is because with call centers, it's one of the few areas that is actually open to hiring people like me. And to give my employer their due, they do indeed treat me way better than any other call center where I had to physically be has ever treated me, bar none. But the irritating, constant, never ending stream of micromanaging that exists within the month of January stresses me the hell out. Now, I know it's irrational. I'm well aware of the fact that the bosses are well aware that January is an absolute trash month when it comes to sales, but they have numbers to meet. How do they get those numbers through us? A lot of times that's why they push the pressure. But not all of us deal with that pressure equally well. Particularly if you're neurodivergent, you don't handle that kind of pressure very well. Particularly if you me, when you internalize it and you start beating down yourself. And while you're doing that and you are on your phone, the numbers that we're tanking just tank that much further. Okay? It's not fun. Not fun for anyone, folks. Not at all. And I've already got on my record as of right now a note of discussion, which is that lovely way of calling it a write up without calling it a write up based on, as they would say, poor performance. Not on the fact of people rationalizing and realizing it's January. It is the month of returns, not sales. Those 2 months would be, well, 3 months: November, December, and February, when everybody starts getting back their tax returns and have more money than sense. But all right, let's go ahead and stop the belly aching here. Now, we're going to talk a few other things briefly, just for me to see if anyone is actually going to show up today. If not, I will still go ahead and rant anyways, just like I do during my normal videos, let's face it. So, just to talk about some not so fun, when I've told you before that routines are vital to an autistic's existence, and when something interrupts that routine, Yeah. So I was front loading for this upcoming week, right? Because sleep is good and I need to engage on it with it in, you know, on the occasion, right? Especially if you're working call centers, sleep is vital to your existence. So I was doing the 7th video and I hit the stop record button. And wouldn't you know it, usually the tab will pop up immediately. No tab popped up. Even though it was showing me recording the entire time, no tab popped up. So I was angry. I was very, very irrationally angry. So then I tried to go back to see if it pulled up in the screencastify library. That's when it decided to freeze. And all of a sudden, my mouse stopped working. Yeah, violation of routine number 2. So I restarted the computer, right? And after the reboot, there's a part on every Chromebook where you have to sign back in under your profile. So I was trying to do that, but mouse is not working. I can't even click inside of that little area to put in my password. So what do I have to do? I have to restart it again. Finally figure out. Obviously, somehow, although my mouse was working fine 5 seconds before, it needed a new battery. So I go over, I keep my batteries in one of the second shelves of my entertainment center, and they spilled all over me. I did not melt them. Proud of myself. I did not melt down, but I did let an animalistic like type of growl come out of my body and slammed one battery down hard enough that if we did not have thick carpet, it wouldn't have been good. It wouldn't have been good at all. So I had to haul over here, put the battery back in the mouse, and by then I was just done. I knew if I tried to do that same video again, that it was just going to. Yeah, so I stopped there and was able to calm myself down and, have an early night, as it were. So, yeah, don't fuck with autistic routines. Don't do it. For the love of God, don't do it. And especially don't continue to do it. All right, let's see. Hello to the chat. Hello, Rebecca. Long time no see. I'm happy to see you again. Hello, Miss Jenny. Well, I should say hi again from, earlier this morning. All right. So now we at least got a couple folks in the audience and to the point of this particular open chat, folks. So we got news this morning leaked through Pop Topic. Yeah, Pop Topic, please shoot me. But we got news from them that Elon got the first Neuralink chip implanted into a human who's recovering well from surgery. Interestingly enough, of course, you had all the regular people, whether it is the evangelical Christians who I'm sure now feel awfully betrayed because they think the microchip is the mark of the beast, right? Because if you're not aware, let me make you aware. I live in the Bible Belt. They absolutely think a microchip under the skin is a reference to the mark of the beast. I cannot make this stupid crap up. And the other people who think that he's like trying to make Cybermen. But then there's us in the autistic and neurodivergent community. who knew him when, as it were. Before he became a pariah to the left, he was once their darling. That's something everyone wants you to forget. That in the beginning, Elon Musk was a leftist darling. We're talking podcasts, they celebrated his pot smoking, all of it. During that time period, we're talking circa 2018, a little article was put out in regards to the Neuralink chip. And we're going to read it, folks. We're going to read that little fun article. I actually did a video on it on the channel before several years ago. But we're going to do it again because I know for a fact that man will lie his face off and try to gaslight the public. In fact, the spin has already begun. That it's just a link to, control the computer with your mind. It's bullshit and it's bad for you, as George Carlin used to say. All right. All right. Let's see the comments here. And people believe it's for peoples in wheelchairs, but Elon, it's not, folks. He's a rich man. They'll worship anything. This is what I mean, folks, when I've told you repeatedly, and I know Tug has told you the same thing, that none of these politicians give a shit about you and me. They are always playing for the cameras. That even those little speeches that you see that they give in the Congress and the Senate, it's all a script. The real thing gets done behind closed doors in exclusive bars where they drink together. And I know because I've been in those rooms with them when being more of a public face in regards to the indie movement. Okay? But yeah, that's besides the point. Jenny, isn't a wheelchair there? He goes doing what he said many years ago. He's scum. And speaking of what he said many years ago, I pulled up that article once more and we are going to present it here. Let's see how fast YouTube catches on and tries to cancel the stream, shall we? Shall we just? I'm in a feisty mood today. And no, I don't mean AH's version of feisty. I mean the actual literal meaning of the word. It electric shocks for people with autism. So essentially what you're telling me is that Neuralink is essentially a head implanted GED device. Great. I'm never going to sleep again, am I? All right, so let's bring it up, shall we? Because we in the neurodivergent movement like this little thing called receipts. And particularly because we know we can't trust anyone, we always stockpile them. And I kept mine. I've kept years and years of mine, but that's another discussion. So we're going to go ahead and bring it up here. All right, folks, straight to it. This is Business Insider. This was written back in 2019. Excuse me, my computer's being weird. We do not edit live or ever, really. Elon Musk said AI brain chips company could solve autism and schizophrenia, which is already bad, but it gets worse. Elon Musk said he thinks his Neuralink technology company Neuralink will be able to solve schizophrenia or autism. On the latest artificial intelligence podcast with Lex Friedman, published Tuesday, remember the time period, the Tesla and SpaceX CEO was asked about the most exciting effects he foresees for Neuralink, whose goal is to develop an AI enabled chip that could be implanted in a person's brain to record brain activity and potentially stimulate it. Great! It's an implanted GED device. Fan fucking tastic. So, Neuralink, I think at first will solve a lot of brain related diseases, Musk said. So, it could be anything from like autism, schizophrenia, memory loss. I need you to think about that, folks. He literally just called autism a brain disease. This man is supposed to be considered a genius. Autism is not a brain disease, it is a developmental disorder. First off, second off, I'm getting real tired of people trying to solve me. The whole community is tired of people trying to solve and cure us. We don't want you to solve us. We don't want you to cure us. At this point, we just want you to leave us alone. But let's continue, shall we? We also get compared to memory loss. Great. Like everyone experiences memory loss at certain points of in age. Parents can't remember their kids' names and that kind of thing. It was not clear what Musk meant by saying Neuralink could solve autism, which is not a disease but a developmental disorder. Thank you, Business Insider. Exactly this. Exactly this. See, autism essentially affects how we see the world, how we interact with that world. Essentially, by trying to take the tism from me, you're removing me from me. But people like this, they don't want to see that. But the real Tiffany's just under there. This is the real Tiffany. Deal with it. You know? It was not clear what Musk meant by saying Neuralink could cause autism. It's so good, I got to read it twice, which is not a disease, but a developmental disorder. The UK's National Autistic Society website says autism is not an illness or disease and cannot be cured. Often people feel autistic is a fundamental aspect of their identity. May I also add that we are also the folks that have brought you multiple technological advances, multiple medical advances. The list goes on. If you didn't have us little odd ones out who see the world differently out there doing what we do best, you would lose a lot of the technology and stuff that you love. Silicon Valley is filled to the brim with us. That is a solid fact. The survey was done years ago, and I'm sure the population has only grown since then. The World Health Organization describes schizophrenia as a severe mental disorder. Again, impacts me personally. My Uncle Lloyd, who, which is why I get pissed every time people want to say, don't take your meds, they're evil, because he kind of needs them to be able to function. Yeah. Musk founded Neuralink in 2016, and for the first few years of its existence, the company was relatively secretive. Gee, I wonder why. Probably to keep the evangelicals from trying to shut it down. By the way, folks, because they now know what it is, guess who's now on their radar, and it's not any longer as a friend. Let me go ahead and go in here and read the comments real quick. Jenny Good, that's what I was saying. Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate that because it's exhausting, but it's not just us that this happens to. It's also people with ADHD. It's people with, sorry, cat photobomb. It's also people like my baby nephew with Down syndrome. So much so that just this week, my sister in law got so tired of it that she went and got a specific tattoo to wear where people could regularly see it on her arm. Yeah, but let's continue to read, shall we? This year, Neuralink has been more vocal. It published a white paper in July about its design for a brain chip, and Musk excitedly announced that the company had begun testing on monkeys. Because animal testing is sound. If that should have been our first clue of who this man really is. It really should have. Musk had said the technology could be used to treat neurological conditions such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Please do explain to me how you're going to use a brain chip to treat very complicated and multifaceted diagnoses. Oh, I know. You're going to become the brain version of the GED device because that isn't already horrible enough. He also told Friedman that it could be used to solve critical damage to the brain or the spinal cord, but his eventual goal is to merge human consciousness with AI. You're not cyborging me, Elon. You're not cyborging me. Jesus. He needs to step away from the sci-fi. Neuralink is intended to address the essential risk associated with digital superintelligence, Musk told Friedman. We will not be able to be smarter than a digital supercomputer. So therefore, if you cannot beat them, join them. What are you trying to create, Elon? The Borg? But that's kind of the end of the article, folks. So let me come on back here. Jenny, I'm sorry that you went through that because, yeah, we know from multiple documented cases that treating someone with electric shock with heart conditions can be fatal. That's no joke. That is actually a thing. They could have caused you to go into cardiac arrest by doing that. I'm sorry to hear that. It is. It is. You could have very easily gone into cardiac arrest. Very easily. So, what I'm reading here is other than Elon being an ableist little. Not only that, but it's this idea, this weird paranoia that we're never going to be a supercomputer for intelligence, so we must join them. Dude wants to create the Borg. Wants to go and create the Borg. If you are not familiar with Star Trek, the Borg is a race of individuals who've merged with their technology and essentially became, well, tyrants. And if you watched Next Generation, as I did growing up, you get such famous lines of, "We are the Borg. You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile." Yeah. Yeah, that. I'm sorry, but that last little statement like, can somebody please take Elon's crack stash? Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, you do. You do, because if you got a bad heart and you're shot full of electricity, that can have long lasting ramifications. It makes me think of my uncle who has AFib, and my mom and I, who have tachycardia, which means our hearts can get to beating way too fast. And if we do not calm it down, we can go into cardiac arrest due to it. So, something like that could put me in a grave. So, I am very, very sorry that that happened to you, Jenny. I really am. I don't know if you have any legal steps that you could take towards the individuals who did that to you, in spite of the fact that you well informed them ahead of time that you had a heart condition, but I hope so. I really do hope so. So, what are we thinking about this? First off, we are talking about a dude who thinks that autism is a disease. It's not. Second of all, we're talking about an individual who wants to create a device that wants to stimulate places in the brain. Right? Sounds harmless. It's not. Because how could that be done? Electric shock. And we're not talking electric shock as we know it in regards to like the traditional ECTs done in extremely controlled environment. We're talking about it being done inside your head in a very not controlled environment. There is no preparation, no numbing gel, no nothing. You have a GED device implanted in your head. That's what that is, to put it blunt. We are already fighting the GED device. We know, because our receipts have receipts on the damage that that device does. The last thing on planet Earth that we need is to have something like that not attached to us through electrodes, but directly implanted into our brains. Then you got a dude who watches way too much sci-fi, who essentially is using this as a means, but if we can't beat the computers, we should join them. And he doesn't see where this could go horribly, horribly wrong. This. This. Right here. In fact, folks, that is one of the reasons why, for those few people who do still get ECT shocks, they have to sign a mountain load of disclaimers before they are allowed that particular treatment for exactly what Jenny is saying here. Good. I'm glad that hospital is closing down. Absolutely. They should be. They absolutely should be. Because one of the questions you should have before you use that type of shock on anyone should be, do you have any heart issues? I grew up in hospitals. My mom's been in healthcare longer than a lot of people have been alive. The whole procedure is supposed to ask before even a whole lot of treatment begins is if there's any allergies that they need to be aware of in regards to medication well received in the hospital, any heart conditions, anything that the doctor needs to know about before they do any type of surgery or any other kind of treatment. Yeah, two things that don't mix together in a small space. It has the potential to short out the brain. Yes, the brain has electrical impulses that has been proven throughout time. To interrupt those pulses, let's actually talk on that a moment. What do we know about Elon? Elon is not a scientist, he's an engineer. Okay? This is not a man well versed in medical science. But we are going to trust this person enough to allow a chip to be implanted in our brains. I'd rather be shot. Literally would rather be shot. I'm not even exaggerating that. You could, if you do not know what you're doing, and I'm going to say with my full chest that you, Elon, have no idea what you're doing. And they are going to implant this chip in you. What if the thing misfires? What happens if it disrupts the current electrodes in the way that they fire in the brain in such a way? There are 1,000 things that can go wrong. But they tested it in monkeys and everything went good. Human beings are not unilateral. We're not all the same, and not all our neurons fire in the same way. Okay? Do you think he even took stock in that? Jenny, I have to warn any doctor before I have surgery because your heart, yeah. Exactly. That is standard hospital procedure. ER 101, if you will. Like, Christ on a bike. That is ER 101. You talk to the patient beforehand and get what they are allergic to and what could be done that could possibly cause anything to be worse, allergic reactions, what have you, before they begin the treatment. It's standard. Standard. I'm really sorry that that happened to you, but yeah, that is standard. I've listened in so many times as doctors are sitting down asking the patients, or their interns are, the nurses are, the person filling out the paperwork for them before the doctor sees them are asking all of these questions and inputting them into the system before they are taken to what's going to be their longer stay room. But to hear from you, Jen, and you, Rebecca, what do you think about this brain chip? You and I, Jenny, have already mentioned how many things could go wrong. And let's face it, it's Elon. But what do we think about this dude trying to, solve us, and I don't know, apparently turn us into the Borg in the process. It doesn't surprise me. I was pissed this morning. I went back and told Paul because Paul knows I've told him on multiple occasions that I owe Elon Musk a direct punch in the throat just for that article I just read to you years ago when he first started pushing this idea out there in the media. To know that he's done it now and to know what the spin is as opposed to what he's actually trying to do with it. Ugh. I will say I am sort of amused because of his certain very hard right turn out of nowhere. Elon suddenly found himself a lot of evangelical apologists for his insanity. Every last one of them is feeling betrayed right now. Oh, I didn't see you there, Jenny. Let me bring you on. Hey, Jenny.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. I was like, I'm not sure if I can hear it on this thing.
All right, go ahead. Figure you probably got some stuff to say.
Well, I got lots today. Hang on, let me just get to a quiet spot. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, we'll give her a moment, and in the meantime, literally got a bro that is trying to turn us into the goddamn Borg. Send help.
Okay.
You about ready?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, because you've been pissed since this morning when I first sent that out.
Yeah, because like I saw that and I was like, oh no, he done did it. Like, how? The fuck? Like, I just thought he was just talking out of his ass, and no, no.
You were there with me when that article first came out.
Yeah, and I was there when I with you when he talked about it on that fucking video.
Like, and you saw it probably through my account. The whole entire autistic community that was on Twitter lost its collective shit.
Yeah, you saw it on my end too, when all my fucking people lost their shit.
And to read that last sentence, well, we can't beat them, so we might as well join them. Have you ever heard a more stupid statement?
Well, yeah, actually, I have.
Oh,
Stimulating
God.
the brain. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
The only amusing side of this is I have seen evangelicals feel very betrayed because now they're talking about, but it's the mark of the beast. It's the mark of the beast. Of course, I'm sitting here in Bible Belt hell going, oh God, here we go.
I think everything is about the mark of the beast.
Social Security, the COVID shot.
And then you get those idiots that thought the COVID shot was tracking you. No, your phone's tracking you, dumbass.
Yeah. But the current spin they're trying to put on it, and I know because Paul went and dug it up,
Mm-hmm.
because I believe it was mechanical engineering degree as well as a computer science master's
Mm-hmm.
back there. So he went and dug it up from one of his myriad of communities.
Mhm.
And yeah, the spin is, oh, it's just so that we can control our computers with our minds. Or and hear me on this, there's a thing called a mouse. It's an
Yeah.
amazing little thing.
Or
When
it's called your phone, where you connect it and control your fucking computer with your phone.
now I'm sure they're like, but what about people who are da 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 list the disability? I'm like, okay, you may have a point there, but in
Well,
first off,
they already have people controlling computers with their mind for like for people with disabilities.
there's other ways. Things put on
It's ridiculous.
fingers,
Yeah.
things that detect eye movement.
Yep.
Anybody ever look at any videos that show Stephen Hawking before he passed?
Mhm.
How did they think he was doing all that?
That's literally what I was talking about.
Sorry, pointing in the wrong direction.
Like, how much do me and you have to say for people to finally get it? You know?
And I do like to bring up, because a lot of these Republicans want you to forget, in the beginning, Elon was a leftist darling. Some of the most liberal channels on the planet tried to convince us this man was a genius. So Paul, big Paul, dug into it.
Mhm.
And since we're talking Elon, would you all like to know how he really made his money?
By sticking his thumb.
So, in actuality, most of the engineering community kind of look at him as a failed joke.
He is one.
He actually got mediocre grades while going for his degree.
Mhm.
And how he got his money was he actually put a large portion of his paychecks towards the 401k, right?
Mhm.
Right before he was fired, there was a major boom
Mhm.
in the economy. So when he was fired, like many of us do,
Mhm.
and he had also had stock in the company as well. So he got all that stock back that just boomed into the billions of dollars,
Mhm.
as well as his 401k. That's where the beginning, the basis of his wealth comes from. It's not
Yep.
because he's a genius, it's not because he's a brilliant business mind. It was luck.
Dumb luck.
Point blank.
Like, you want the definition of dumb luck? There you go.
Of course, I would probably have to get the direct sources from Paul as to where he found all that info, but living in the same apartment as the man and seeing how much information he's able to scrounge up is kind of terrifying. He is almost scarily good at what he can do. So, this person who got rich by luck, people are going to trust to implant a brain chip in them? A mediocre mechanical engineer who barely made it through college, who knows nothing about medical science or treatment of the human brain.
But you know, stupid people be stupid.
A dude who literal last statement sounded like a crazy freaking Star Trek obsessed person. I don't know. Did he idolize the Borg in his youth? Is that what this is about? Because it sounded Borgy to me.
It is.
Because if you want to see where that can go wrong, merging a human with AI technology because they're so much better than us, for the love of God, dig up the Borg episodes of Star Trek Next Generation sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Some people were talking about the Cybermen, but to me, the Borg here makes more sense. Maybe it's because I'm a second generation Trekkie, but I'm a Trekkie with a full functioning brain that works and a mouth that doesn't know how to stay closed. I talk too much. I'm aware of this.
No, it's all good.
I'm just, I know you're tired, Jenny, because my God, they have been just as much. We have to fix ADHD as they've been about autistic people,
Mm-hmm.
if not more.
Yeah.
When they, aren't denying that you all actually exist and that it's just a ploy by big pharma. Yeah. Pseudoscience is bad for you folks.
But
One
why
of
would they believe that?
because people are stupid.
Right?
I wish I could have been like, well, JD doesn't feel this way anymore. But back in the day when he believed in human beings, I wish I could have been that way at some point in my life. But I've never been that person. I don't think I will ever be. I
Mm-hmm.
believe in Eugen. I believe in our own neurodivergent brethren because I've seen evidence and receipts of what we collectively can do and what we can do as individuals.
Yeah.
I can't say the same for neurotypicals.
No, can I?
This is what we've come to now, folks. That whole dystopian future that we used to line our sci-fi movie shelves with is slowly becoming a hellish reality.
Mm-hmm.
And even worse, instead of people making them more alert, they are cheering it on.
Yep.
This is the next advancement in scientific medical science. No, it's not. It is 100% not. This is what I like to call science gone bad or bad science. Pseudoscience. And don't get either me, Jenny, or any of the rest of us up on that. Because if you want to see some of the worst snake oil salesmen and how well and alive they are, look up Cure ADHD or Cure Autism sometime because they've got a powder, they've got a foot patch.
What the fuck?
I wish I was kidding. But there's a foot patch for you and me, Jenny.
So
Uh,
there's that, the electroshock, there's medication. Oh, for fuck's sakes, when can we just stop with it all?
Years ago, because we all know I'm sarcastic, I can't help myself. I decided I was going to try some of those pseudo cures and blog on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the foot bad detox thing,
Mm-hmm.
the non gluten diet.
Oh dear God.
I did that for a month to give it good, solid scientific time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the pseudoscience crap. And yes, there is a blonde that I hate just as much as AH. Her name is Jenny McCarthy. Please look it up sometime. I
Mm-hmm.
detest that woman. Jenny's giggling like I can hear the contempt.
Yeah, they're all contempt. Like, I'm trying to be polite about it, but you know I'm contempt about it. Like, fuck.
I cured my son with autism by giving him a non gluten diet. So, a lot of moms, desperate for a cure because they paint us to essentially be Satan in human flesh, rushed out to get it. What you ended up with was a bunch of starving, hungry kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because bread, carbs, they have a purpose, especially in the growing body of a child. So yeah, I did all of those and wrote very sarcastic blogs, but at the end of the day, they changed absolutely nothing. I came off of that diet a month later starving, and I binged croissants and bagels, and
Yeah.
I wasn't working out as much at the time, but I was younger, so it didn't stay on me as much.
Mm-hmm.
That foot pad thing did nothing but where I put the foot pad, that little piece of my heel there just turned a really funny color.
Mm.
It took weeks to get rid of. And now we've got Elon who's joining their ranks with something that could be far more dangerous. I want to put him in the same area of contempt as the doctors in the UK who were prescribing bleach to to cure us.
Because, you know, stupidity.
Whether there was some who did oral and one said that you have to put it in us as an enema.
What the fuck?
Yeah. This is the territory we're wading in, folks. A territory that's already full of scum and villainy. Elon just joined the ranks, and he's
Yep.
trying to gaslight and turn everyone away from the fact of the things that he said in that particular article. So I made sure to save it because who knows when he's going to try and get that article removed.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting ready to come out on the hour mark, and I do want to kind of end this on a bit of a positive. I was
Okay.
pleasantly shocked today
Oh,
because someone made a comment. It was someone on JD's side
okay.
against one of the AH stands. Why these people still engage with them when they know what they're going to do is beyond me, but it ended up in my TL.
Okay.
And the comment was, well, you have to excuse them. They're misandrous and they have the autism. And I got pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're on JD's side. You do not use anyone's diagnosis as a slur, point blank.
Yep.
So, as usual, I let them have it
Good girl.
because that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I have no fucks, none left to give at all.
Good.
And then some other ableists got involved and tried to go back and do this stupid crap that they always do. But the person who initially did the post
Mm-hmm.
reached out publicly, publicly,
Oh.
and explained that I was not aware that this was going to be offensive, and I did not word that what I was trying to say very well at all. So I would like to formally apologize. I am autistic too. That was not what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
And no, they didn't DM me like a coward publicly.
Oh.
And they said I should have worded that better. I shouldn't have said it that way. And I'm sorry, but respect, that takes guts.
Mm-hmm.
That absolutely takes guts when you hold yourself accountable like that,
Mm-hmm.
when you are willing to state publicly, not in a manner that is absolute BS, because me, Jenny, all of us, we can read right through it. We know the
Yep.
backhanded, I'm sorry, but I'm really not sorry. We see it
Yep.
all day, every day. But genuinely, formally apologizing and saying that I will not do that again and I will word things better,
Good on that person.
right? How often do we see that kind of integrity anymore?
Like, never.
And they let me know I'm autistic too. And when you commented, it made me read it again to see what that sounds like. But yeah, pay attention to your words.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I held myself accountable too. We're all hypersensitive to ableism. We deal with it day in and day out. We are used to, especially Jenny, because it is far worse for the ADHD folks than it is for us, people using their diagnosis as a slur.
Yep.
I'll say it's worse because it is. I've seen it
I've seen it too.
in movies, cartoons, where you all are constantly the butt of the joke, internet
Yep.
articles. Are you being abused by your ADHD kid? Villainy. It's insane.
Yeah.
So I admitted that I am very, very, very sensitive after what we have to deal with on a day in and day out basis of people using our diagnosis as slurs. And I don't think about it. I attack viciously and extremely
Mm-hmm.
cruelly. And that I need to think a little bit more before I post and go tearing into someone.
This is why I
So,
just block people before I even get to that point. I'm like, nope, not today thing. Block.
well, part of the reason why I respond and retweet is to show the world exactly how we are viewed and the reason why it is so easy for the media to paint people like Johnny as a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Because as much people want to say it's because he's a man, yes, that plays a big part of it. But notice they don't do it to every single man.
Yep.
They target, it's selective.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually one of us that's neurodivergent in some capacity. Damn near every time. Not always, but almost.
Yep.
But although I still really don't have any hope for humanity at whatsoever, and I am very much Comet Come Now 2024 campaign,
Mm-hmm.
it was shocking to see. I don't think I've seen that level of accountability and holding yourself responsible and apologizing in a sincere manner in years, decades. So, although the majority cannot learn, it's nice to know that there are some token individuals out there who are not completely brain dead and so full of hate they can't see straight that can
Mhm.
be that better person. All right, so glad to end it on a positive note. Usually I would go a little bit longer, as you know, Jenny. 2, 3 hour posts we've done.
Yeah.
But battery on the computer is running dead. I got to switch it out.
Mhm.
So thank you for coming on here. For all those who are going to be watching this later, for Rebecca for coming on. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. We'll see you all next time. Bye bye.
Bye.